Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon and Happy New Year. My name is Claudia Kakunaka. I am the Trade Commissioner for the ICT sector based in Brazil, based in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Um, Thank you for joining this session. We had a small problem here with the invitations. I think there was some problem in the system and some people got a cancellation message, but we'll keep the session. We will be recording that and then we can share the link later. So let me put here my slide here. So the idea is to talk a little bit about the opportunities in the fintech sector in Brazil. And I have here with me today Cláudia Penalosa, my colleague from the Ontario government, and we are organizing this initiative in partnership, in collaboration. So this is a Trade Commissioner Services and Ontario Export program together. Let me move to the agenda here. Cláudia, you want to say hello before I start?
Sure. Thank you, Claudia. So you have today two Claudias. Thank you so much. My name is Claudia Penalosa. I am the team lead for the Europe and Americas at the Export Growth Branch of the Ontario Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. And I'm very happy to be here joining forces again with Claudia in Brazil, so that we can tell you a little bit about what are the opportunities for the fintechs in Brazil, and looking forward to explain to you what the virtual fintech mission will take place in March with Brazil, but we'll talk about it later. But for now, thank you so much. I'm very happy that you are all here. Sorry about the confusion again, but people are joining one by one, so I'm happy to see that. And back to you, Claudia.
Okay, thank you. Just one confirmation. And Alicia, are you recording the session?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Okay, let's start then. So this is the agenda for today. I'm going to make a presentation, providing a brief overview of the Brazilian fintech market. Not exactly only the fintechs, but I will talk about the financial sector in Brazil and the opportunities for the Canadian fintechs. So the idea is to provide an overview for those who are not familiar with the Brazilian market, talk a little about the local fintechs, the ecosystem for the Brazilian fintechs as well. I will talk also about some of the trends that we are seeing in the market, the regulatory landscape, and of course, how to engage with financial institutions here in Brazil. And after that, we are going to have a presentation from Cláudia. Cláudia Penalosa, she's going to talk about the Ontario programs and provide more details about the mission that we are organizing in March this year. Then we have a few minutes for Q&A, and that's it. It's going to be a short session. So let's start here. As you probably heard, Brazil is the largest country in Latin America, both by population and GDP, and has the largest and most sophisticated banking sector in the region. Brazil has a solid financial system in place with an independent central bank. The Brazilian bank system is highly consolidated, very similar to the Canadian banking sector, and is a result of many years of M&A activity. Itaú, Bradesco, Banco do Brasil, Santander, and Caixa, the five leading banks count in Brazil, has more than 8% of the overall bank assets. Banking activities are highly regulated and require local financial institutions to comply with extensive regulations issued by CMN, CVM, and the central bank, the three regulatory entities from the Brazilian financial system. For many years, this has been the local scene, and financial institutions held a comfortable position dictating how the market was served and the quality of services received by their clients. Brazil is also a country of contrasts, high social and economic inequalities, and where we have a highly digitized population that quickly adopt innovative solutions. Over the past 10 years, a revolution in the sector has taken place. Digital payments have driven a profound change in the industry, leading to financial inclusion and lowering costs for financial products. During COVID-19 pandemic, the adoption of digital channels was massive, especially to include the unbanked population, so they could receive financial support through digital banking accounts. Currently, most banks allow customers to register and open an account entirely through digital channels. Fintechs made possible for many people to open their first account and have their first access to credit services. According to the Findexable's 2021 Global Fintech ranking, Brazil is already the largest fintech market in Latin America and the 14th largest ecosystem in the world. São Paulo City is the fourth largest fintech ecosystem compared to San Francisco, London, and New York. The fintech sector in Brazil is the sector that consistently has received the majority of investments among the startups in the past few years. From 2015 to 2021, the number of fintechs operating in Brazil grew up by 215%, and we have around 1,289 fintechs in the Brazilian market as for 2022. A favorable regulatory framework and an environment of expensive financial services paid by the population have paved the way to this growth of the number of companies in the local market. And this has helped in the reducing of the banking concentration and increasing competition. The chart on the left shows the evolution of the number of fintechs year over year, and the chart on the right shows the current breakdown of types of fintechs according to the Distrito Fintech report from 2022. So you can see that the majority of the fintechs operating in the local market is on the credit subsector and payments and back office applications and solutions. Another highlight is the number of cryptocurrencies fintechs. We have 88 fintechs operating in the local market, with Mercado Bitcoin as the first unicorn in this segment. These are the top 10 Brazilian fintechs. This is the list on the left, and the majority also are unicorns today. Nubank, for example, was founded in 2013 and has around 70 million clients in Brazil, being the fifth major bank in terms of number of clients, ahead of Santander, the Spanish Santander Bank. In the third quarter of 2022, Nubank has presented a net income of $7.8 million US, and recovering from a loss on the same period on 2021. So they finally reached the break even. They have started as a simple credit card offer, and now can offer more than 30 different financial products to their clients. PicPay is another example of a fintech that currently has around 70 million users as well. They still didn't reach their break-even, but they are building a super app and a strategy based on a super app where they have a complete marketplace services for social networking, in-app messaging, and they are growing every month. Also, according to the Fintech report, due to this the Fintech report, the majority of the Fintechs in Brazil are dedicated to the B2B segment. This chart now talks about a little bit about the investment seen behind this local fintech. So which are the stages that these companies are right now. So you can see the number of investments round in 2021 until March 2022. And for the next years, is expected to remain about the same, the distribution in the series of investment. In a lot of deals in early stage companies, especially in the crypto and back office category. The categories for credit, investment, payments concentrates the majority of the M&A activity from the fintech ecosystem. And this is a trend from the financial super apps development, where there's a massive adoption of the financial products and services in different sectors of the economy, and we will talk more about this trend in the next slides. According to the latest post of a fintech report by KPMG from 2021, Brazil saw fintech's investment drop from $3.7 billion US dollars to $1.4 billion, especially in the geopolitical and macroeconomic instability, including the rising of interest rates, increasing levels of inflation, and growing concerns about economic recession. Similar to what happened in other global markets, the local fintech ecosystems is adjusting their valuations after the euphoria of the past years. Brazilian and foreign investors such as SoftBank and Tiger Global that have heavily invested in the region are now reviewing their portfolio and make adjustments in the global scale. For the fintechs listed on the local stocks exchange, 2021-22 was not a good year as well. And Ibovespa has accumulated 3.5% of highs, and the listed fintechs have fallen between 37 and 68% in this year. 7 analyzed institutions has lost $42 billion in market value in 2022. Nubank, for example, was launched in the New York Stock Exchange, evaluated more than Banco Itaú. Currently, Itaú is valued at 43 billion US dollars, and the Nubank has around 19 billion US dollars. One of the most affected company was PagSeguro, which accumulated losses of 68%. This is not different from everywhere else, and Brazil is having the same movement as the rest of the fintech community around the world. The higher interest rates in the US and Brazil have affected more technological-based companies such as the fintechs, because their value are on the long term, and Brazil, as an opportunistic investment market, suffers a migration to more traditional financial products on this type of scenario. The Brazilian ecosystem, the Brazilian fintech ecosystem is considered mature now, since we have experienced founders, innovation hubs, effective accelerating programs, and a chain of complete and well-structured capital with angel investors, early and late-stage funds, and private equities and CBCs. Besides the local fintech market, embedded finance has emerged strongly in the recent years. And for those who don't know, embedded services, embedded finance is a term used to indicate the offer of financial services by companies that are not financial institutions or fintechs, such as retailers, delivery companies, mobile operators, among many others. So banking as a services solutions have accelerated this trend, allowing companies from different segments to create their own banks, digital accounts, and financial products. By aggregating financial services, these companies can strengthen the relationship with their existing customer base, improve their own services, and create other sources of revenue. Some local examples of embedded finance worth to mention are Magalu. The retail giant launched its own fintech with more than 16 million clients, and they can offer credit card services, insurances, digital accounts, PIX, the instant payment from the central bank. They can provide mobile top-ups, cashback. They have several solutions incorporated under this their fintech. Banco Carrefour is the only bank owned by a retailer. So they also offer solutions to their customer base. They have a credit card, they have an issuer, they have an acquirer. They work with either both their wholesale and their retail base of clients because they have a wholesale segment as well. Riachuelo is another example of a retailer with more than 33 million users. They have a financial arm called Midway. They also offer lending, credit, and digital accounts for their clients. Via Varejo, the same thing. They created a digital payment institution named Banqi. Mercado Livre has today more than 52 million users, both in the consumer and in the SMEs area segment. And finally, Claro, the mobile operator from América Móvil, they have launched the Claro Pay, the financial services app that incorporates insurance, online credit services, cash withdrawal, mobile top-up services, payments through PIX. So all of them are doing some kind of initiatives in the digital payments or financial services. Let me talk a little bit now about the regulatory framework and provide some background on how the market has gradually opened for the fintech that is the current scenario that we have today in Brazil. So prior to 2010, we had the payment processing was a duopoly between two companies, named Cielo and Rede, and both of them, each one had an exclusivity with Visa and MasterCard, and all the merchants were obligated to contract services and POSs devices from these two companies. In 2010, the central bank has broken this duopoly and opened the opportunity for other new companies to operate. And this, in this scenario, we had seen the emerge of new companies like Stone, Samap, PagSeguros that started to compete on the credit card acquisition market. In 2013, another movement from the Brazilian government allowed the creation of different payment schemes. So they issued a license for payment institutions, a simplified license, easier to obtain than the banking license, that allowed these payment institutions to offer some limited financial services, mostly dedicated to payments. So companies that emerged from after this new regulation was Nubank, for example, eBanks, all these startups, Cielo, Stone, and Banco Neon, Mercado Pago. These companies took advantage of this new regulation to launch fintech services dedicated initially for payment only, and then they increased their services, and currently they offer much more than this. In 2018, also, the central bank created the two new types of license dedicated for the credit market, and this also helped on the reducing of lending services, allowed companies to offer platforms to support loans without having to comply to a full banking license. All these regulations in the past years have stimulated and encouraged the further development of the local fintech system. There will be a fierce competition in Brazil's fintech market in the near future, but the size and potential of the domestic market, we have here a population of 215 million people, undoubtedly makes Brazil an extremely attractive option for the long-term plans. While business opportunities for fintechs started by unbundling financial services through fully digital strategy, there are many fintechs now going to the opposite direction and rebundling to consolidate other financial services in a single place, including offers such as insurance products and cryptocurrency broker services. This is specifically the case of Nubank. So Pix, the instant payment, for those who haven't heard about that, the Brazilian, as mentioned before, the Brazilian Central Bank has been the major agent working on this pro-innovation regulatory framework in Brazil to increase competition, to leverage new technologies and reduce costs of the financial services. Among several initiatives, there is the new instant payment services named Pix. Pix was launched in November 2020. It's a real-time rail that provides free and instant money transfer and settlements between accounts and for the participating institutions. Pix allowed 40 million people to make their first ever bank transfer. Since from November 2020 to October 2022, the number of Pix users skyrocketed from 41 million to over 139 million users. And a recent report from the Bank of International Settlements found that Pix had the fastest adoption curve amongst all surveyed real-time payment systems in the world. In Brazil, the system has become the major financial inclusion tool used by government to foster social welfare programs such as CAD Único and Bolsa Família. But in general, it's used by everyone among the population. Pix is free for the consumers, while business pay for a small fee per transaction. Pix is available 24/7, and it's currently more used than credit card services in Brazil. Since its launch, Pix has registered more than 28 billion transactions. Further, the central bank plans to continue adding some new functionalities, such as scheduled Pix to replace scheduled payments, Pix withdrawal to enable withdrawals, and guaranteed Pix to create payment options that's similar in functionality to business credit cards. Finally, international Pix will enable users to transfer their assets to banks' accounts in foreign countries using Pix as well. Due to its success, Pix has attracted the interest of the international community with compliments of the Bank of International Settlements, the network of central banks around the world. Last month, Roberto Campos Neto, the president of the central bank, has announced that protocols used by Pix will be available for other regulators to replicate the same model of the Brazilian Pix to be copied for free in countries like Mexico, US, Argentina, Colombia, Canada. Are some of the countries that are interested in learning more about the system, especially because of its low cost of implementation. Open finance. So although the regulatory agenda for open banking is a global trend, its design and implementation strategy change in each country. In Brazil, the central bank centralized the management, and the adoption of a communication standard via APIs are great differentials in comparison with other countries. The first phase of the project required participating institutions to share standardized information on products and services like deposits, savings, and credit cards. The second phase of the Open Finance project in Brazil enabled customers to share their data with applications of their choice. This has allowed companies to view and reconcile payments from multiple business banks' accounts, and allow consumers to provide access to their banking data to get underwritten more quickly for a loan, for example. Phase 3, which began in 2022, focused on launching products on top of the open banking, and phase 4, expected for 2023, we will expand the data sharing scope to include foreign exchange, insurance, and more in the coming months. And the access to data opens the potential for new use cases and increasingly personalized services for customers. Other subjects here included everything in a single slide. So let's talk about crypto assets. Last month, the first law for cryptocurrencies was approved. It established the rules for brokers that offer crypto asset services. The law defines crypto as the digital representation of an asset that can be traded, transferred, and used for payments or investments. Under this bill, the federal government will designate an authority responsible for the regulation and supervision of providers of virtual asset services, which include exchanges, transfer, custody, and management of these assets, among other services. Prior authorization will be required. It's going to be a license to operate for companies interested in these activities. And something curious to mention here is Brazil is one of the top 10 most active markets globally for crypto, according to the 2022 chain analysis data. The Real Digital, the Brazilian central bank project for the Brazilian currency, digital currency, is going to be a CGBC, a central bank digital currency, based on our fiat currency. So this is expected to be launched in 2024. The application is being tested on the laboratory from central bank with several financial institutions. And the idea is that you will have the same parity with the Brazilian reais, the Brazilian currency, allow less bureaucracy, reducing costs, and augmenting efficiency on the liquidation of financial transactions. This is going to be based on using smart blockchain based, and will be increase the use of smart contracts. ESG is Brazil has been increasingly adopting very environmental, social, and governance principles that global investors prioritize. In September 2021, the Central Bank of Brazil published new rules regulating ESG products and climate risks. They clarified related analysis and risk management procedures for financial institutions. How sustainability affects rural credit dynamics and mandatory disclosure requirements. So this is, we have seen more of ESG discussions among the financial sector in Brazil as well. So let me talk a little bit about the relationships between banks and the major financial institutions here in Brazil and the fintechs. So the question is, where are the opportunities for fintechs in Brazil, right? A few years ago, fintechs were considered a threat by the major banks, and likewise, fintechs had an aggressive mindset and wanted to compete directly against them, the financial sector. More recently, each other learned how they can benefit working together in niches and areas of collaboration. The percentage of fintechs that still consider banks as a competitor have reduced, according to the PwC Fintech Deep Dive from 2020, and only 10% of fintechs have this perception today. I also would like to share some highlights from the Febraban Banking Technology Survey. This is a survey that the Federation of Brazilian Banks makes every year, focus on the banking technology usage. So they interview their associates with the decision-making people from the IT sector, and they identify the trends and the major investments that is going to be done for the next months. In the case of the survey for 2022, some areas and technologies were identified, and here we have artificial intelligence and machine learning, of course, and these decision makers, they say that they are looking for solutions on regression and predictive models to be used to understand and enhance customer experience, especially on credit and billing services. Solutions enhancing banking context aims to offer hyper-personalized financial services, offering the right product at the right moment for their clients. Automation, they are investing a lot in automation, aiming to simplify the process using bots to increase the efficiency, control, and security, and especially in reducing also mistakes on operational activities. Many investments have been done in low code, no code, RPAs, for example, on client onboarding process. Investments in cloud. There are banks in different stages working with the cloud, some with native applications, others with in the process of migrating their legacy systems, and some others with hybrid strategies, depending on the process demand they have. In the case of the scenario where we have a PIX and open finance, for example, cloud is seen as a good strategy because of the peak traffics that these applications demand, and cloud can provide great flexibility for that. Investments also made in cybersecurity and data privacy, due especially to the complexity environment and the explosive use of APIs, the integration and the orchestration of all the partners. So it has been a challenge, and the banks are working on specific investments on technology infrastructure, the prevention of cybersecurity threats, prevention against attacks, identity management, and cloud security. The open finance, this is also something that was mentioned by the decision makers. They are investing a lot in increasing the capacity of interoperability among the financial ecosystems, and the idea is to offer that this is going to bring new opportunities for business. And finally, IT transformation, where the banks are investing to transform the IT culture, implementing digital and agile methodologies, investing in several innovation initiatives, focus on business instead of projects, talent and attraction and retention programs. So bankings are also investing a lot on people on this area. Still, according to this research, the majority of the financial institutions have partnerships with fintechs in the development of new products and services, offering front-end and user experience solutions, and solving back-end and internal process challenges. The major contribution of a fintech to these institutions are in the improvement of the R&D innovation process, increase of productivity, support for the market to reach, and on the development of new products and services. And finally, programs and partnerships that we have seen in the market with fintechs, between fintechs and financial institutions. Several of them, in different areas, hackathons, innovation laboratories, co-working and acceleration programs, corporate venture funds, and open innovation programs. So almost all the financial institutions have invested a lot in this type of programs. I think it's worth it to mention here one of the major hubs for fintechs in Brazil is Cubo, owned by Banco Itaú. That was the first initiative, relevant initiative on the area, and that was followed by Banco Bradesco, Porto Seguro, Visa. So all of them had launched innovation fintechs programs. Another thing that's important to mention is that we at the consulate, we have been promoting the innovation ecosystem in Canada to the Brazilian community as well. And as a result of that, last year in May, Banco do Brasil, the major public bank in Brazil, one of the top 5, has announced an investment in Canada. They have partnered with Mila. They were going to do some R&D there at Mila, especially focus on cybersecurity solutions. So this is also an opportunity for companies that are based there or would like to connect with Banco do Brasil in Canada. They are present there now. So I want to end this with some tips about going after opportunities in the Brazilian market. So first thing is we recommend you to become a trade commissioner services client, so we can provide you support here in the local market. We recommend, of course, to have a visit in the country to learn about the culture, understand the environment. So, of course, if it's in person, it's much better than virtual. But anyways, there are programs for like our virtual missions, and this can be an opportunity to learn a little bit more about the market. You need to establish an initial network of contacts, and also the trade commissioners are here to help you on that. Consider Brazil a long-term opportunity. From this perspective, it's not a market where you are going to see deals happening less than 1 year. It's very difficult. And be ready for different and alternative business models. Try to look for other opportunities other than a sales office or a representative in the country, a joint venture with another fintech. So this is our advice in picking good partners for that. And of course, if you can speak the language, the local language, that will make it much easier. Or at least if you have someone in your team that can speak Portuguese, it will facilitate the communications here. People in the business community speak good English, but always using Portuguese is always much more comfortable. And of course, consider the trade missions that we promote. I will have my colleague Claudia to speak a little bit more about our next mission. So I'll stop here. And I'll leave I try to make it quickly because didn't want to advance too much on the time. So Claudia, would you like to talk a little bit about the programs from Ontario?
Sure. Thank you, Claudia. And that has been a very thorough presentation on fintech opportunities and the fintech sector in Brazil. But briefly, I want to go over the different programs and services that we provide for the Ontario companies, for the Ontario SMEs here at the Ministry of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Basically, there are different types of programs that we have, and I am going to go briefly through each of them. And first of all, for companies that have never exported before or that are thinking of exporting, we have a number of programs and a number of webinars that we organize for these companies. And basically, these are webinars that are to prepare you to start exporting. So to create your export plan, to evaluate what sector, what country, what market would be the best to start exporting to. So those are a number of webinars that we offer in different parts, different months of the year. Usually by quarter, we have three of those programs available. Now, the next one is the export business mission, and these are export missions to the markets. In some cases, there are virtual missions, but now in most of our cases, now we are traveling in person. So these are missions that are organized for Ontario SMEs. We usually work with our partners in market, the Trade Commissioner Service in market, and we develop a program for the companies that are participating in the mission, including a briefing, including a customized agenda of B2B meetings, depending on what your targets and your needs are. These agendas, these business meetings are usually organized with pre-qualified prospects, buyers, partners, distributors, potential partners, distributors, investors, depending on what you are looking for in that specific market. And in our branch, we have a group of approximately 20 colleagues that we cover different parts of the world. So we have the branch that covers everything that's Asia, Middle East, and Africa. And in my branch, we cover Europe and Americas. So all our events are posted in the Ontario Trade Calendar. You can see the link below in this presentation, and all our events, our missions, our domestic events, our international events are posted in the Ontario Trade Calendar, and that's how you will be able to register for any of our events. Next slide, please. Another program that we also work with, and we also work with our colleagues from the federal government, is on the incoming buyer programs or the incoming delegations. Many times there are events where the Trade Commissioner in market, it's bringing a number of buyers, a number of companies from the country that are interested in learning about the Ontario ecosystem, and they are interested in having meetings, one-on-one meetings with Ontario companies. Sometimes these events are linked to a global event that is happening. For example, this year we are going to have Collision in Toronto. It's an ICT event. And I guess that Claudia will be here with a delegation from Brazil. So these are part of the programs and services that we offer. We also have market opportunities and workshops. Recently, we had the Export to Latin America webinar, where we invited our colleagues, our senior trade commissioners from Brazil, from Colombia, and from Mexico to present to a group of companies, of Ontario companies that were interested in these markets. So we provide this type of events to Latin America, to Asia, to Japan. Depending on what we are working on, we will organize these events. And obviously, we will do a one-on-one consulting with any company in Ontario as many times that you need, depending on what kind of questions or inquiry you have. If you're looking for a partner in Brazil, depending on the sector, we will connect you with the Trade Commissioner, who will be able to connect you with potential partners. So we work one-on-one. We work very closely with our federal colleagues, and because it's very important that if you are interested in a specific market, that you know all the opportunities, all the challenges, and all the things that you need to go to be successful in that market. And finally, we have the Ontario Trade and Investment offices. These are offices that are located throughout the world. Right now, we have 16 offices. The only office that we have in Latin America is located in Mexico City. And basically, these offices, the TIOs, will help you connect with buyers, will help you develop the business strategy for this market, but will also attract investment into Ontario. So basically, this is what the Ontario Trade and Investment offices do. Next slide, please. So basically, this is a summary of our services, depending on what step you are at. If you are learning how to export, those are the first level where you will find all the services that we have on the one-on-one services, export advisory services. You have the series of workshops on exporting, the first steps in exporting. You have events that we do with our partners like the Toronto Board of Trade, etc. Then when you are ready, we have the get set, like the webinars to the US, the pitch preparation. You are going to be selling your company, so prepare to sell the company. So we have several workshops that we organize on pitch preparation, the market-focused exporter preparation that I mentioned as well, and the COEF partner events. And finally, when you go to market, that is, it could be that you are a company that is new to the market or that you are an experienced exporter already. But we have the one-on-one, we have the education seminars, the webinars. We usually, during COVID and after COVID, we have decided to keep the webinars going like this one, because it's a great opportunity for companies from all over Ontario, all over Canada, to connect in one place without moving anywhere. And then we have the expert business missions. As I mentioned, now we're back in person, but still we'll keep the virtual missions in some cases. We have the in-market buyer programs and the incoming buyer delegations. Next. And finally, here it's a trade calendar, the website where I mentioned, where you can find all the information about all our domestic and international events, where you can register for any of these events. Right now, we are finishing our fiscal year that will end at the end of March. And as soon as we have our approvals for all our activities for next fiscal year, they will immediately be posted on the trade calendar. So if you are interested to know what's happening, what are we doing in Brazil throughout the year, this is where you are going to be able to find the events. As well, as I mentioned before, you will be able to register for the upcoming mission in this link. And in the bottom, you can see the map where you can find all the offices that we have throughout Ontario. And in our event hub, you will find all the information about all the events that have taken place and the companies that have participated on those events. And with this, I would like to speak now about the upcoming mission in the next slide, the virtual FinTech Export Business Mission that we are doing together with Claudia in Brazil. This time it will be virtual, and this mission will take place between March 13 and March 24th of this year. All the briefing, the B2B meetings, everything will be within those dates. What will include the mission? The mission will include a mission briefing that we will be doing the week before we start. We'll provide the date when we are closer to the date. And every company that registers will have a program of B2B meetings that will be customized to your needs. So for this effect, we will hire a B2B service provider, which we will work together with. We will have kickoff meetings with each company that is participating, so that the B2B service provider will understand what your technology is, what your solution is, what you're looking for, and who do you want to meet with, so that they can prepare a customized agenda for you. And for those companies that will require interpretation to Portuguese, we will provide that interpretation. And who are our ideal candidates? These are Canadian-based fintechs. They with a C-suite level participation, seeking opportunities in the Brazilian market, and that are going to be able to participate fully in this event, participate in all the B2B meetings, and participate in the briefing. We work together with Claudia so that we will have companies from Ontario and companies from the rest of Canada. So how we work is the companies from Ontario will register through me. The companies from the rest of Canada will register through Claudia Kakunaka. So The deadline for registration is going to be February the 6th. And right after that, we will be starting the kickoff meetings with the companies registered so that we can develop the agendas with enough time for the end of March. I don't know if I missed anything, Claudia, but if you want to add anything, this is my contact information. But I think I covered everything for the mission. I don't know if you want to add something else. You're muted. Claudia, you're muted.
Too many screens to control here.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. No, I think that's it. Thank you very much, Claudia. I guess this is all that we had to share today. So I don't know if anyone has questions. You can send it through the chat. I think there's one
Actually,
question.
there was one question, Claudia, that is from Chris Best saying, does the central bank hold the wallets or do banks?
The wallets are from the banks. The central bank holds the infrastructure for payments. So it's not the wallets for each bank has their own wallet. You are also mute.
Sorry. I found that interesting because, as you know, the similar conversations are happening in Canada and in the US. And I think in the US, there's actually real concern from the banks that if the central bank is holding the wallets, it's going to pull deposits away from the banks. So it's just interesting that Brazil's chosen to do it that way.
Yeah.
So if there are no more questions, I just wanted to mention that if you are interested in participating in the mission and registering for the mission, this will be on a first come first serve basis. So you are going to receive a survey that I'm going to be sending out later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. In that survey, I will be asking if you are interested in participating, and I will send you the link to participate. However, in the trade calendar, you can go ahead and look for the virtual FinTech Export Business Mission to Brazil, and you will be able to register right away. So I just wanted to mention that I forgot to mention it before. And if you are interested in registering and you are not an Ontario company, please send an email to Claudia Kakunaka to indicate that.
Yeah, I will share the link for the registration by email. So let me see here. I think we have another question here.
I have a raised hand.
Raised hand. Yes.
Yeah.
Hello, hi, it's Igenera from Bugsy Payments. I do have a question regarding the company that you said, the company that will help us find like partners in Brazil. Does that mean that they are like helping us finding like clients or because it's not clear to me to what extent they're going to help?
No, what we will have, it's a consultant from the fintech market in Brazil. So he's an expert. But the idea is that he's going to help on the organization of a program of meetings that you will define what you are looking for. If you are searching for partners or resellers or agents, this is the type of meetings that he's going to schedule. If you are searching for end users, or you want to talk to the banks, you want to talk to specific companies, this is what he will try to do. He's going to organize meetings within the directions that you define. Okay.
Okay, that's super clear to me. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And there will be 8 meetings per company. That's correct? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's the agenda will include 8 meetings, at least 8 meetings per company. Okay, I think we don't have more questions. So I would like to thank you very much for your participation on this session. We have the list of participants. We will share the information for the registration and the link for the record of this session. So please reach out to me if you have any questions, any other questions. We are here to support you and hope to have a great virtual mission in March. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Claudia, very much. Are we sharing the presentation?
Yes, we can share the presentation. I'll put everything on a driver. I have some reports also from the market. I can share that with you as well. Mostly are in Portuguese, but I think the figures can be understandable and that could be useful as well. So I'll put everything on a drive and send by email to everyone. Thank you very much.
We also send the YouTube link to this presentation.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Anna. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, everyone.